Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a great week. So Black Friday weekend just finished up, and I was super keen to show you guys my learnings and yeah, just how everything, I guess, went in the end. There's a lot of findings that I discovered assessing 2024 performance that I applied to 2025, and that really shaped my strategy this year. And so what I want to do is I want to first take you guys through the 2024 learnings for this particular business, then how I apply those 2024 learnings to 2025, how that changed my strategy slightly, and then what the impact and yeah, the results were from that at the end of the Black Friday weekend. Okay, so let's start off with the 2024 learnings, and I think there's some really interesting learnings here. So this is looking at 2024, November 2024, and you know, last year we you know, I guess, pushing sales at the beginning of the month, right? So as early as the 4th of November is when we started um, pushing sales, right? So the thing that really screamed out to me was sessions, okay? And that's what I just want to point your guys' attention to. So what this showed me was in the week of the 4th of November, we got 80,000 sessions and cost per session was 10 cents. The following week, it went up to 101 sessions and the cost per session was 15 cents. And then the week after, which is when Black Friday sale actually began, so this is probably more notable to um, actually look at, the sessions that week were 130,000 and the cost per session was $27, 27 cents. And then the week after, so the actual Black Friday week, the sessions again were 127,000 and the cost per session was 24 cents. Okay, and this is what it kind of looks like when we put it on a graph, right? So you can see basically sessions were climbing, and then they got here, and cost per sessions also kind of peaks, right? And I think why this is a really important thing is, and it's a question that I asked myself, right? And the question was, if we had reduced spend the week of, would sessions have held? Like, was spending what was spending the same amount, $30,000, was that the causation of sessions being what they were that Black Friday week? Or was it caused due to the previous weeks, specifically at the 18th of November, and the amount of spend we were investing here to build up the pipeline, to get people aware of the sale, right? And then them starting to think, oh, okay, this is what this brand's Black Friday sale is. Let me go and look at the competitors. And then they come to the conclusion of, okay, I want to go with this brand because I think they have the best sale, right? Is that what really happened? And basically, we didn't have to spend that much, and we probably could have gotten a significantly cheaper cost per session by potentially halving our spend. And then who knows, net sales and MER probably would have been better, and net sales may have been very similar. That was the question I asked myself, okay? And the other thing that I guess made me think about this was the cost per session and cost per add to cart, right? But more specifically, the cost per add to cart. So cost per add to cart here, right, we can see that we had 14,000 add to carts, and then we had 15,000 add to carts. Okay, and look at the cost per add to cart, $2.48, and then $1.98. So it did lower, but I guess the more important thing is this, right? Add to carts. Again, the same question as sessions is, were these add to carts influenced by the previous week? And these aren't necessarily new add to carts, but they're actually like people coming back and then checking out and converting and buying what they wanted to, right? So maybe they had kind of put things to their cart earlier, right? Or added things to their cart earlier, right? So these are the questions I had. And I think the biggest thing was, could we have gotten an even better MER if we reduced spend? Okay. And just to bear in mind, I guess the kind of the MER target was around 6x this year for this particular business. So applying all those learnings, this is what I did. So first of all, let me just quickly explain the strategy. It's pretty simple, but this is the strategy that I went into the Black Friday week this year or period. It was spend more during week 1 to build the pipeline, and then pretty much set high ROAS targets across Meta and Google to maximize ROI in week 2. I forgot to put in week 2, but this should be in week 2, right? Let me just add that in week 2. And the logic there is basically we build pipeline, we build interest, okay? And then the week of, especially getting closer and closer to Black Friday weekend, well, we've done all the pipeline, like we've done all of the awareness building for that sale. For this particular business, which is a really important point to know, is what is your lead time? What is your attribution lag? How long does it take someone to convert after their first interaction with your brand? I know for this brand, it's roughly 5 days, 3 to 5 days. All right. So if we're more conservative and we say 5 days, well then basically if we start prospecting on Wednesday, Black Friday is Friday, it's probably going to waste spend because it takes a bit of time, right, to warm them up. Now, I guess that can change when it's Black Friday because Black Friday is a bit of an exception and people are shopping with more intention, right? So maybe that would halve. But the concept or the concept's there, right? The concept is build pipeline so people are aware. In the week of, people are saying, okay, I know what sale this brand's doing. I know what sale this brand's doing. And then kind of the weekend, okay, I'm going to go with this brand because I think they've got the best sale. That was the idea. Okay, that was the idea. Okay, now I'm going to show you kind of what this looks like. Okay, so this is what it looked like. All right, so let me move this. Oh, geez, give me a second, guys. Why that shouldn't be there? Okay, cool. So this is what it looked like. Okay, so basically, we decided to spend more in the first week, okay, then the week of, or leading up to Black Friday weekend, reduce spend because, well, people already knew what the sale was, and we now wanted to maximize return on investment by putting high ROAS caps on our campaigns. So these platforms are inherently going to spend less. It's not that we don't want to spend as much as we can, we do, but we only want to spend as much as we can on the people who are going to convert, right? So kind of that last day is when Meta and Google were like, okay, we've identified a high proportion of people who want to convert, and they were able to spend more, even though we had those high ROAS caps. Whereas here, when we did it, it wasn't able to spend that much because it just didn't identify those people yet, right? But that was the idea, right? It was build pipe, heaps of sessions, and then all right, learn the learnings from 2024, the week of. Do we really need to spend the same amount to generate sessions, or have those sessions already been generated by the pipeline building process of week 1, the awareness building week 1 period, and then those people are just going to come back regardless? And I think it's safe to say that did happen, right? Sessions stayed very consistent leading up to, and then actually peaked on that last day, which is pretty cool, right? So what does this actually look like in terms of, well, like orders? Well, it looked pretty good, right? So sessions consistent, total orders consistent, Then as we approach Black Friday, peak, right? And then Sunday, I think Sunday I noticed was the strongest day for a lot of brands. And I think it's kind of like that's the last actual day, right? So it's like, okay, Sunday, I know who I want to go with. Let's go for this particular brand and I want to buy from them. And then it peaks, right? And I noticed orders peaked a lot on that last day. And that's what happened here. It shot up. So like, yeah, what this looks like in terms of profitability, right, which is also pretty important, is looking at MER. And this one day, MER was definitely inflated because for whatever reason, we didn't spend much. And I think that was due to putting those really high rise targets on that day, and then spend just kind of flatlined. But, it definitely helped to get a better MER, right? And the thing is, right, and this is what's really important, right? It's like our MER target was 6, but we're okay with taking a loss on MER during this first week. And you can see it's around 5, even below 5 days, because we just want to build up sessions. So we're okay with that. But then the week of, we're like, okay, well, now we need to start spending less because we want to maximize our MER. So we started to spend less, right? And then MER started to improve, right? And you can see that here, right? And the biggest one was Facebook, right? Oh, yeah, Meta, right? Because Meta is obviously, it's the direct to consumer prospecting channel that's going to get the sale out there. Spent heaps here, blah, blah, blah. Then we reduced. Google stayed pretty consistent. Or even Google kind of changed as well, sorry. But Google was, consistent here, Meta was consistent here. And then the week of, we're like, okay, high cost caps, etc. And you can see that this helped with MER, right? So that was the process. And let me now go to the 2025 insights to really show you what this actually looks like. There's a few things. Let me maybe move myself over here. There's a few key things that I want to show you guys, right? And it's kind of this, right? So week 1 and then week 2. So week 1 spend 11K. Week 2, 8K. So we spent less, as we know. Total spend 19. Week 1 revenue 64. Week 2 revenue 61. So pretty similar. But a key point here is the MER. Okay? By spending less and generating the same amount, our MER improved a lot. All right, and then that caused the entire period to have a MER of 6.57, which was above target of 6. So it worked, right? It worked. The plan was we're okay with having a lower MER in the week 1. We just want to build up pipeline, and then week 2 we're going to put really high cost caps. And that's going to start to harvest those crops, right? It's a funny way of thinking about it, but that's what it was. And this is where you can really see it in sessions, and that's the point that I was saying. And going back to 2024, where I was saying, okay, well, would these sessions happen regardless of this? And are these sessions kind of a direct, is it directly due to the awareness spend or awareness building of the previous week for that particular sale? People knew in the week of they were going to come back regardless. That was the hypothesis. And I would say, yeah, like that did happen, right? Session 22, sessions actually increased to 26. So more sessions. And cost per session significantly dropped, right? Because we spent less and we had more sessions. So it worked. Now, obviously we had email marketing and all of that stuff, right? I'm not disputing that. That definitely played a role as well, the other stuff that we're doing outside of digital. But, more or less, it did work, right? And then you can start to look at what that looks like. We can see what that looks like in terms of new orders and CAC, new customer acquisition costs, significantly drops the week of as well. And CAC's high because people are still contemplating, what are we going to buy? Who are we going to buy it from? So we're not getting new orders this week 1. The new orders come in week 2 because people now know, okay, I'm going with this brand. I think that's a really important point. right? Because you can really see that here. And then what I would say as well is the split. So the week 1, spending a lot more meta because we want to get the sale out there. Week 2, high cost caps, and we started to actually have more of an even split because more people were then starting to come to the brand, directly through Google. And also we had a lot of dynamic remarketing on Google and all that stuff. So people know what they want through Meta, and now they start to search more, right, and actually start to investigate what they want. And we really want to make sure that we're also appearing when their competitors are coming up across shopping and etc. Right? So we started to spend more there. And then add to carts, right? This is a big one as well. Add to cart, like that is a huge drop in cost per add to cart, right? So cost per add to cart was $8, and then it dropped to $6. Also, can I just say that you probably are thinking, wait, what the heck? These metrics are similar. This brand is different to this particular brand, right? So I just applied these loans from this particular brand, which is a very similar brand to this brand. Okay, that's why the numbers aren't 100% accurate. The other thing is I kept it super simple this year. And what I mean by that is I only had 2 campaigns, guys. Like literally 2 campaigns. I had one meta campaign, right? Which was like Advantage Plus, like then the Advantage Plus campaigns were segmented by ad groups, right? Ad groups, or ad sets, sorry. One ad set per product category. That was it. And then Performance Max was the exact same. So it's like super simple strategy. And that also was a learning from the previous year as well, right? Where I just did too much. Like I had so many campaigns, like campaigns per category. It's just so much. And I just thought this year, less is more. And it worked. The client was happy. And I think it did work. I think the strategy worked, right? The I guess the intention behind the strategy ended up materializing in the end. So I think it was quite successful in the end. So I hope that was super interesting. I'm keen to hear what you guys learned from your Black Friday period as well. But yeah, I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.